Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wigan Fan TV. You're joining us again after another Wigan victory, an impressive Wigan victory, probably the most impressive that we've had away from home for a long time. Joining me this evening in the middle of your screen after nearly fully recovering from coronavirus and stealing David Bailey's cravat this week is Matt McCauley. And on the end, Stu Minnis. Gents, thank you for joining me. Are you both well? Matt, are you feeling better?
Very good, very good.
Excellent.
I'm getting there. I'm getting.
I mean, when you're explaining your symptoms to me off air, when we sort of have our group therapy session, everything that you explained is basically coronavirus.
Yeah, but it's not, because I had it before I went to China.
You had it before it was. You knew coronavirus before it hit the headlines.
Yeah. Before it was famous. I remember when it was good.
You made it famous almost, which is quite frightening. So thank you for getting off your deathbed and joining us this evening. There's only one place to start really this week, isn't there? The Sunday that was first versus second before the weekend, unbeaten Huddersfield away from home, and it turned out not to be the challenge that we were expecting it to be. Really, we'll pop the highlights on the screen as we're going to sort of get everybody's thoughts on it. But Stu, a big win, 42-10. Your thoughts on the game?
Fantastic, absolute fantastic. What can you say? Smiles all around, innit? Brilliant. Everything we done, it come off. Everything we were, it's fantastic. The big pleasing factor to me though was Big George come on. You know, before he done what he done, and we were all a bit sceptic, weren't we? What's it going to be like
Absolutely.
when he come back? No worries at all, Sean. Absolute no worries at all. To me, his power drained them, and that was like roll on after it. Yeah, brilliant, absolute fantastic. But as for the stepper, well, Mr. Our other profile, the stepper. Well, what can you say about him? Like good old footwork there, the dance floor, brilliant.
I know you two can't see the highlights as we're going through, but at the minute we're losing 10-4. It looks optimistic. The thing that's just sort of turned the game actually, and has just been shown on the screen there, was the yellow card for Caesar for Huddersfield, and kind of timed it with George Burgess coming on. Matt, do you think it was more a case? Was it Burgess impacts or the Caesar yellow card, or was it just a nice combination of both that sort of swayed the game, you think?
Well, I wasn't there. I was listening to it on the radio. But even at the time, I did think, actually, Wigan were absorbing the pressure, and that I wasn't worried. And I think all that happened was the inevitable happened a bit earlier than it would have done otherwise. I think Wigan were just knackering Huddersfield.
It certainly looks like that. And then there's a few standout performers there, isn't there? We've spoken about George Burgess. And the impact that he made. He just looks like the player that we expected him to be, and a million miles away from that player that played 10 minutes and sort of felt the damage of Ben Murdoch-Masila against Warrington. But the man that's on the screen right now at this moment in time, who you haven't got a clue who it is, but Liam Marshall, that try, Stu. There's a comment on here which I'll put on the screen from Stuart Heaton at the minute. The best winger in Super League at the minute?
Oh, shadow of a doubt. Shadow of a doubt. Other teams will say, they've got whoever. Well, that's their entitlement. But I tell you now, absolutely brilliant. That for how he's come on, it's just mind-blowing. Brilliant. Yeah, just can't knock him. Everything positive, fantastic. That's all you can say about him. Fantastic.
That try, Matt, it was a little bit of... for me, that the try in itself, and this is not knocking Sean Wayne, but that try would never have happened under Sean Wayne. It would have been a bit more conservative. You've got 20 seconds left to half time. You receive the kick off. You take the tackle, or you kick it into touch. You go into half time in the lead. But that for me feels like the shackles are off a little bit under Adrian Lamb, and the fact that he felt empowered enough to go for that, and just a bit of individual brilliance really, which we probably won't see again for a long time.
It's exciting though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just the thought of shackles being off, and you know, obviously, like I say, I wasn't there, but I was on my feet, bouncing around my living room when I heard that happening, because I thought that is just what we need.
The other thing that we sort of seemed to see a little bit of during that game as well was was Bevan French taking it upon himself to... This isn't a game where Bevan French stood out or Jackson Hastings stood out. The rest of the team seemed to stand out, and that sort of shows that we can win games without particularly having our star players playing to the absolute peak of their powers. Who else stood out for you, Stu? We've got George Burgess, we've got Liam Marshall, Harry Smith coming back into the side, Luluai going off with concussion. Looking ahead to next week, does Harry Smith have to start for you and we sort of change it a little bit, Stu?
I would give him a start. As you say, no disrespect to OKR, but I would give him a start because the guy on the radio was giving him the nickname of satellite boot because everything he was doing was pinpoint accuracy. Every kick he was putting in was pinpoint accuracy. As you say, I never seen the game, but I've seen the highlights. Definitely, I don't know why we can't give them a start. In this game, we should beat them. We definitely should beat them, but we don't want to be too complacent, do we? But this is the game to put him in. Put Luluai on the bench, bring him on.
We'll talk about Harry Smith in detail and perhaps what it means for him in terms of England. Oh, we've lost you. What that means in terms of England call-ups for the future and the fact that we're in the night squad. How good do you think, Matt? How good can Harry Smith be from what you've seen of him so far?
There's no limit, really, is there? He's. It's not how good can he be. He is going to be sensational. The question is, can we keep hold of him, and for how long? And can we literally, I don't know, maybe blackmail him into staying with Wigan for all of his career because he has got a huge amount of potential. He's going to be amazing. Who doesn't love him already?
It's been done before, hasn't it? I'm sure blackmailing. Mm-hmm. You'll know more than me in that. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody like Harry Smith to get a new deal over the coming months, just to tie him in long term, to get sort of a 4 or 5 year contract to sort of appease the fans, to sort of let everybody know that we are securing this guy for long term. Yes, there'll be clubs that come in from NRL at some point in the future that want him, but it feels right that he's in the team at the minute, and that sort of combination of having him on the bench seems to be working all right. And we've not really needed to use him, but when we have used him, particularly with the Luluai sort of concussion test, he stood up to the test absolutely fantastically. Another comment that we just put on there is, it probably got missed a little bit, but I'll just put it back on from Phil, is Manfredi back on the score sheet, 2 tries now in 2 games. Another person that's in the England squad that we'll talk about in a little bit, but is there a way back now for Burgess in the team?
There's always the opportunity, isn't there? Because our wingers are very good at scoring tries and getting injuries. So I would say definitely there's going to be a way back in for him at some point. And also, if we've got players this good, then we can afford to rotate them occasionally, rest them, keep them fresh. In fact, hasn't Adrian Lamb suggested we're going to do something similar with the props? So if we've got this range of good players, we can do that.
We sort of come on. We've lost Stu, and we've got Matthew trying to join in. Stu, if you want to try and get back in, Matthew, if you want to try and get back in, just join the group that's dated the 4th of March, and then you'll get in. I'll try and re-add you into a second, but you're causing chaos at the minute because you're starting loads of Skype calls. But yeah, fantastic at the minute in terms of Harry Smith. We've got Morgan Smithies, who gets missed as well. Morgan Smithies been stepping in for Sean O'Loughlin without even really noticing. I think that's got to be testament to him. Oliver Partington got himself into the England Knights meet-up, which we'll talk about in just a second as well. So the future's bright, but a fantastic win for Wigan against Huddersfield, and so it looks nice that Wigan are at the top of the table. We're only 5 games in, but it feels like the start of something special at this moment in time. Do you feel that in your waters?
I am so excited. The only cloud on the horizon is coronavirus, and I can just them saying, right, this season's scrapped now. But wouldn't it be funny if Warrington were doing really well, beating everybody? It really was going to be their year, and then
then it got cancelled.
That would be even funnier.
And you potentially see that happening. if Warrington were any good, that is. But that's also quite happy. Stu, you've put on what's happening. You're trying to join a phone call that says the 26th of Feb. Join the one that says the 4th of March, the one that you've just been on, and you'll get in. We'll power on without you. For this moment in time. One thing that I've just picked up on that Adrian Lamb's put in his preview for the Hull KR game is the fact that Ben Flower will be back. I put his direct quote on. Flower will come back this week. He's talking about the rotation of his forwards, and it doesn't necessarily mean about form. He's been out for a long time. No pre-season games under his belt. Do you bring Ben Flower in against Hull KR, and if so, who does he come in for? As we bring Stu back. There you go. Well done, Stu. Well done for finding it.
Wigan Runner, I don't know what he's done there, man. I was just talking to him on the thing, and I was like, what? What's going on here?
He's causing absolute chaos.
Battered him.
So,
is he late?
it feels like he's blocked out of the circle at the moment and he can't get in, but I'll try and get him in a second. So Matt, Ben Flower, we expect him back. Is it a risk putting him back in without any games under his belt?
First of all, you are making the assumption that when Adrian Lamb says Flower will be back this week, you're making the assumption he's talking about Ben Flower. He might just be anticipating the start of spring. So, he might just be looking forward to seeing more Flowers around. But is it ever a risk bringing Ben Flower back?
Yes. He's
a veteran. He's solid. He's Welsh. He's going to be fit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Okay, so Stu, we assume Ben Flower's back this week for Hull KR. With the sort of comments that Adrian's lamb has made, his pet lamb. He sort of barred it in that Flower will be back. Who does he come in for, Stu, this week?
It's a shame, really, if he is. We've got to say one of the.
Go on. Why is it a shame?
Well, there's all these young ones. We'll just say if we got beat, fair enough. We haven't. We've won. Why change a winning squad? I'll keep it going. If there's injuries, unless there's little ningles, fair dues. But I would keep it going. I wouldn't change it.
I think Matt's either telling you to hurry up or he's insinuating rotation.
He's the boss, so he's the one that knows he knows more than us, doesn't he? So we'll leave it at that.
I mean, the name that comes up on here, who he comes in for, is Tony Clubb. It makes sense that the two would just swap over. But I think taking Matt's sort of insinuation of rotation there, how important do you think that's going to be against the danger of keeping a winning team together? It's a long season, and we're just in March now, and we're 6 rounds in. How important do you think that's going to be? Because we've got a massive squad.
Yeah, well, we are going to have to rotate the players at some point, aren't we? Ask yourself this. Which teams would you be happy to take risks and rotate players against? And I think you'll find Hull KR is one near the top of the list, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Salford, brother. So yeah.
But I mean, take Salford at your peril. This is a grand final team. A grand final team without the best player, of course. But we need to. I disrespected Salford enough last year, so I'm not doing it this year. Just before the semi-final, but yeah, it's a squad game, isn't it? So I think the importance there, and I think it's the fact that he could come in again ahead of Havard getting back in the team doesn't sit quite right with me. I feel like he needs to. It's taken away this sort of earning the place through the reserves and trying to work his way in. Joe Greenwood didn't manage to do that. And got loaned out, so it kind of goes against what he's done for other players in terms of that. Chris Hankinson only came in this week because Jake Bibby had a bereavement in his family, so it doesn't feel consistent. I understand why he's doing it, and I think rotation's important. But I think the Hull KR game, with all due respect to Hull KR at home, is definitely the time to do it.
Sean, I've got a question for you, a quick one.
Okay.
Has Mitch Clark gone to Swinton?
Why would he have gone to Swinton?
Because
Mitch Clark playing for Swinton.
Their squad come up on our league app the other day because it was supposed to be on and it got cancelled. And there was a Mitch Clark in their squad?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, he's very much part of the Wigan first team, isn't he? And the fact that he didn't play at the weekend, I wouldn't read anything into that. We've not got a dual registration with Swinton like we have previously. The change of ownership at Swinton, I think, probably saw the end to that. I think it's either this is rugby league we're talking about and rugby league apps. So my guess would be it's a mistake, or it's possibly just somebody called Mitch Clark. Yeah. I very much doubt that it was the real Slim Shady playing for Swinton. But I might be wrong, Stu. But I would.
No, I just thought I'd bring it up, Sean.
I would very much doubt that it would be, because he's not done anything wrong, has he? Again, it's rotation.
No. Well, not that we know of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is Wigan. This is rugby league. Okay. What was announced this week was the sort of the rest of the international calendar, which was strange, and Matthew Mellon's trying to interrupt the broadcast again by ringing on a different one. It's a strange meet-up. The international calendar was kind of finalised this week, which kind of says England will not be playing. Oh, we've lost Stu now, so Matthew's managed to kick Stu out again. So the international calendar is there. England don't have a mid-season international at this moment in time. But what we do have, which has got to be frightening the Australians, is we have a Sean Wayne meet-up at Old Trafford, Matt.
Yeah, all his busy mates getting together. He's taking them all to Old Trafford.
I mean, that's probably the most... He's back. Stu, have you been kicked off by Matthew
Mellon again? I'm going to have him, mate. The Cyberman's coming out for him on Sunday, I'm telling you. I'm having him on Sunday.
So we've got, in terms of the England meet-up, obviously... Gareth Hock will be in. Oh, we've lost him again. Gareth Hock, Joel Tompkins, all of Sean Wayne's best mates will obviously be there in the meet-up. But in terms of players from Wigan, we've got Manfredi, Gildart, Farrell and Hardacre. Matt, is there any people excluded from that list from Wigan that you're surprised about?
I'm a bit surprised about Hastings, to be honest. Other than that, not really.
Farrell back.
It's a preliminary list, isn't it? It's not finalised. It could mean anything.
It could mean anything. But I think, like you said, there's a couple of headlines there, isn't there? There's no Jackson Hastings, and there's no Blake Austin, which makes you think, is that something that Sean Wayne has sort of decided is going to be his? You know, you sort of British to the core, English to the core, otherwise you're not getting in. Or is it just a case of, is it the players? Is it Austin and Hastings wanting to keep their options open? The eligibility rules have changed this past month, which means if you play for Great Britain, you can't play for Australia. I don't know if that's backdated. But Stu, how pleased are you to see Liam Farrell back in there?
Yeah, the lad deserves it. It's like icing on the cake for his testimonial, isn't it? Get him in there. Why not? He's earned it. Good luck to the lad. See what you can do. Hopefully he gets picked end of the year against the Aussies. See what he can do against them.
One of the
good luck.
One of the big things there as well is obviously the wingers, Don Manfredi being picked, which is fantastic. Are you surprised to see Manfredi picked against Warrington's winger Blake Austin?
Nah, or what?
There's no Widdop in there as well, which again feels strange because internationally he's done all right for England. In the World Cup, he was probably our most consistent performer. Obviously, like you said, Matt, it's not the Ashes squad that we're talking about. But if there's an opportunity, it's not like we're asking Widdop to fly from Sydney. I mean, he lives in Warrington now. Maybe it seems strange that Widdop isn't being considered in there.
Lomax and Williams at halfback. Where's Widdop going to go?
And would you take that over? I mean, Hastings is an incredible player. Widdop's an incredible player. Blake Austin is Blake Austin. You've got Johnny Lomax, who's probably playing the best rugby of his career at the minute. He's absolutely fantastic. You've got George Williams just gone over to the NRL. Is that a halfback combination that you see Wayne going with?
I can see it, yeah. If George Williams, produces the goods over in Canberra, and there's no reason to suggest he won't. And it has the advantage of being truly English, and I think that is part of the thinking there.
It feels like a Sean Wayne thing, that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And if that's the case, then that's the case. You know, that's fair enough. It's his call.
Absolutely. A comment here from Tony. Josh Charnley in. Stu, are you surprised to see Josh Charnley still hanging around there?
Yeah, I am actually a little bit, yeah, because no disrespect to Mr. Charnley, but there's better lads than him, you know what I mean?
Lee Marshall.
But I hope our
three better
flying,
ones at Wigan.
I hope our flying pig gets in, the man Freddie Animal, because he's the one that deserves it for all the dark days he's been in. Definitely. I hope the actual series end of the year is there on either 2 or 5, whichever one he wants to play. So yeah, bring it on. Definitely.
Spencer, world exclusive from Spencer here in terms of the England selection for the end of the year is he has heard that Bevan French's nan likes Eccles cakes, which obviously makes him eligible for England at the end of the year. So Bevan French might be a tasty addition to there, particularly if his nan likes Eccles cakes, then he's got to be a shoe in there. So a strange England team, strange England sort of meet-up. The whole concept of this meet-up at Old Trafford feels a little bit weird. I must say
it's going to have two effects, isn't it? The people who go, it's going to be, a little kind of, I've got my eye on you, keep on doing well. The people who haven't been invited, it's a tap on the shoulder to say, play harder, get yourself into my next little jolly to Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Or wherever.
I mean, why couldn't he just done it at a service station? It'd be far cheaper. Right,
or a Wetherspoons. A Wetherspoons would have been perfect.
And that feels more Sean Wayne, doesn't it? Meet up at Wetherspoons on a Thursday for a curry night or whatever the curry night is. That feel pie night. When's pie night or Wetherspoons? That feels more Sean Wayne than hiring Old Trafford out as some function room at Old Trafford. But maybe he's changed. Maybe that time in Scottish Rugby Union has given him a taste for the finer things in life. We'll never know. But the other things to mention in there is Smithies, Partington, Havard, Harry Smith all involved in the England night setup with Paul Anderson, which is great. And I wouldn't be surprised to see more Wigan players get in there as the year goes by as well. Sam Powell in there as well, who captained the England Knights last season and the season before, didn't he? He was a co-captain on the tour. Moving on from that, this week we've also had the news that Wigan's PDRL team will be going up against a good friend of the show in regular contact all the time, best pals, Adam Hills, comedian, and
is he stalking you as well? I can't get rid of him.
Yeah,
he's
he has
always
been.
coming round here.
Yeah, player of Warrington PDRL. Adam Hills. So Warrington versus Wigan at Magic Weekend. Warrington played Leeds PDRL at Magic Weekend at Anfield last year. Stu, it feels like a nice concept, and the fact that it's Wigan and Warrington, I think it's nice for that Wigan are involved in that. How pleased are you to see that on the on the bill?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? Them lads deserve it, don't they? Good luck to them on the big stage. Be nice to see them. Cheer them on as we do. I don't think we're in the other end this year at Magic. I think we're in the opposite end. I think somebody was saying the other day. But wherever we're at, we'll be in big numbers as we do. The old Barmy Army, Cherry White, Pie Army as we are. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be cheering them on.
So many new nicknames that you've just given to Wigan fans. Matt, your thoughts on that? It feels nice that Wigan are involved in it. Coming up against the world champions Warrington after they beat the Roosters last year as well.
Will it be their year this year though? That's the question. I hope not. It'd be nice to beat them, but I love the concept. I love the fact that rugby league now has so many kind of different kind of channels through which people are able to play and join in. And it's all happening on a big stage. It feels proper. I think years gone by, we've always played lip service to this sort of thing. But for once, it feels like it's actually being taken seriously and it's going somewhere. And no matter who wins on the day, that's the big thing for me. I just love to see it.
I think it's helped, isn't it, by the fact that Adam Hills is involved and he can really take it on. He had the documentary on Channel 4, I think it was over Christmas time, wasn't it, where he sort of really showcased the sport. And you're absolutely right, rugby league is very good at sort of talking the talk, but we're actually walking the walk with PDRL. The nice thing for the players, for the PDRL team as well, is the fact that we will be, the Wigan players will be wearing the same kit as the first team. They'll be wearing the yellow kit, and I think they're trying to make that the permanent kit for during the season as well. So they'll be wearing the charity kit all the way through the PDRL season. That's going to be hopefully Wigan's sort of home kit, which feels like a nice touch. But yeah, any excuse to get behind something else that's Wigan related, and on a day when and an event when we'll be taking on Warrington's first team as well, men's first team. So that feels really nice. The other element as well, before we move on to the Hull KR game, is just something that people may have noticed on. I'm talking about Jackson Hastings and what he brings to the club and what he brings to the sport, a bit like Adam Hills in terms of the guy is probably the last person to go into the change rooms after every game. He'll never say no to a photograph, and then you may have seen today, it's International Women's Day on Sunday, and he's put a tweet out wanting to basically putting it up for grabs that he'll walk out with somebody at the DW on Sunday, with somebody who's deserving for International Women's Week. So if you know anybody, go onto Twitter, find Jackson Hastings' post and sort of put some suggestions there. But that just summarizes this guy. He was brilliant for Salford, and it just feels nice to have him at Wigan now, doesn't it, Stu? The fact that he's doing this, but he's doing it in a Wigan shirt and doing it as a Wigan ambassador.
Absolutely. He's our little general, pulling the strings in he with Mr. French. Brilliant. It's great. Welcome, we say. Happy people. Nice to be happy this time of year when we're starting off the season. Long may it continue. That's what I say. Long may it continue.
Absolutely. Stu, your mother suggests that you nominate her to be... I mean, I would love to see that. Jackson Hastings walking out of the tunnel at the DW, hand in hand with your mum.
Hey, Sean, here's a thought for you. What about my mum on one now? And what about Josie on the other? Now, there's a thought.
Well, I'm sure I don't think Josie's watching yet. So, Josie, when you catch up, there you go. Stu's going to nominate you to walk out at the DW, we will hold him to account for that, and we'll make sure that he gets
that. Between two roses.
Absolutely.
I'll say it there. You know what I'm like.
There you go. Right, moving on. So whoever walks out, whether it be Josie or Stu's mum, or hopefully both of them on Sunday, we will be playing Hull KR. Hull KR, a strange team at the minute, it feels like. 1-1, lost 4. Seemed to show promise in the game that they were on Sky in the Hull derby for periods. Matt, what are you expecting from Hull KR on Sunday?
Capitulation.
Okay.
Is what I'm expecting from them. And if they do anything other than that, then I'm going to be bitterly disappointed. Okay. I'm upset that I missed the Huddersfield game, so I want to see a proper thrashing of Hull KR.
So did I just... did I hear that you expect a record score against Hull KR? Is that how confident that you're getting right now?
Maybe not a record score, but I don't... It's good. I want one of those games, an up and down game, where you're constantly up and down on your seat, sort of like, hey, one of those where, there's a try every 2.5 seconds, and they're all from Wigan, and just a real good laugh. That's what I'm looking forward to. And let's face it, it's Hull KR. What are they going to do? This
is going to haunt us. This is really going to haunt us. It's going to haunt you. Stu, what are you expecting from Hull KR on Sunday? This is a team that have invested in Sean Kenny-Dowell. They've struggled last season. They're starting to struggle this year. I think if there's any consolation, it's the fact that Toronto still haven't won, which sort of probably gives them a few more weeks ease. But what are you expecting from Hull KR on Sunday?
First off, we don't go complacent. That's the main issue in my book. We should win comfortably. Tell us a Wigan fan that doesn't expect us to win comfortably. I think we will win comfortably, but let's don't have the complacent caps, hats on, whatever, etc., etc. We should win by a big score. let's hope it's like the magical wave. Let's call it the Wigan wave, like Matt says, up and down, up and down. Instead of the Mexican wave, let's call it the new Wigan wave on Sunday with scoring and cheering. We like to be like that, but we don't. We'll wait and see. We should win good, but wait and see. That's all I'm going to say.
We should beat them, shouldn't we? There's, in terms of the result, we should beat them. If it was at Craven Park, you would expect it to be closer, but you would still expect us to win them. Yeah. That Huddersfield game gives us a lot of confidence going into this game. The rotation element of it may have a little bit of an impact. Whatever the weather will be like may have a bit of an impact. I remember an Easter Monday game there, maybe about 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I think, and it was absolutely horrendous weather. I think even Josh Ganson played. That's how much we were rotating the squad at the time, and it was just horrendous in that, and it does have an impact. So there's lots of comments in here about after beating Huddersfield by 42 points to 10, you'd expect Wigan to put 50 on Hull KR. It doesn't necessarily work like that, does it? But you would expect a big team, so a big win for Wigan. I'm in the same category. I would like to see. I do expect Wigan to put on 40 points and get a big win. We've talked about potential rotation, bringing Flower in. Matt, would you like to see any more changes to the team, either for rotation or giving people an opportunity?
I can't really see it happening in any other position apart from in the pack. I don't think we're ready for that yet. As for the whole situation with forwards, the nice thing is, and this is amazing, right? I said earlier on about, is it a risk bringing Flower in? Of course it is, but you've got him bolstered by a number of other really good forwards in the prop position in the second row, but loose forwards. And the nice thing is, I can almost see any member of the squad filling those positions, and none of it really worries me that much. If someone told me now, Farrell's out and instead Havard's going to be playing, that wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah. And that's nice to be able to get to that position where it almost feels like we've got two players for every position, and it doesn't really matter who you would put in there. Stu, a couple of potential selection choices to throw at you that Adrian Lamb may have this week. You got Chris Hankinson, who didn't do anything wrong at the weekend. You got Jake Bibby to come potentially back in, who again has not done anything wrong in terms of his opportunities. You've got Joe Burgess, who was improving before he was dropped. You've got Don Manfredi, 2 tries, 2 games. Do you make any changes in that back line?
No, I wouldn't. But what an absolute selection headache to have, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's great. Brilliant. Absolutely, it's great. As you say, to have that cover on each position, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't, but as I say, Sean, unless there's injuries or anything like that, I wouldn't change it. I really wouldn't.
For me, it does feel like an opportunity, Matt. I don't know what your thoughts are. The fact that, I don't think Luluai was particularly injured in that concussion test and that incident with Season. I think in reality he probably would have come back on if the score was a little bit closer. The 10-minute period or the 15-minute period where you have the assessment, or the 15-minute period where you have the assessment and you have the chance to come back on. I think we'd scored 24 points or something, and that kind of go. Well, we don't. We'll just lose an interchange for that. Would you like to see Harry Smith get the opportunity to start, take Luluai out of the equation altogether, and get 4 forwards on the bench? I think Tony's just put that in the comments. And then that gives you another opportunity to get Mitch Clark back in there, Havard in there, Flower. You get a bigger pack.
I'm a little bit wary of putting Harry Smith on to start just yet. I think coming off the bench is right for him at the moment. Yeah. More than anything else, it's just going to continue to build his confidence. Not that he seems underconfident at all, but I think if you bring him in from the start and expect him to play a full game, that could go wrong. So keep him where he is. So the only thing I'm thinking is, how many games do we give Hankinson before we bring Bibby back into the equation? and how long before Gildart comes back into the equation.
Yeah.
The good thing about Bibby is he already knows Hastings, so there's already a link there.
He went there on a coach trip once.
Yeah. That's good. I wish I'd said that. Maybe give Hankinson another couple of games to get a link going between those two as well.
So there's lots of different things in there as well. We spoke before the season. I think Adrian Lamb spoke about the opportunities of giving Zach Hardacre a run back at fullback, which I think we could potentially see at times during the game against Hull KR. If there's, again, I'm not playing Hull KR down, but it feels like there's that opportunity. But I think at the same time, we've got to probably just take a step back and understand that we've not really had a settled spine to this side. We've probably had 2 games in a row where we've had Powell, Smithies, Luluai and Hastings all start together, and that's the last 2 games. So if there was potentially an opportunity that Luluai is fit to play, should we take that opportunity and keep that spine consistent? Because we're only sort of 6 games in, we've not got to those levels of partnerships that we can get to, and I think there is that danger of perhaps just changing things a little bit too early. Before we go into that, Stu, before we go on to sort of predictions and any other business to conclude the meeting correctly, George Burgess, massive impacts off the bench. We've already spoken about that. He started the game against Warrington. Where do you see his position being for Wigan moving forward? Is he a bench forward now because of that impact, or could you see him starting and having the same impact?
I would start him on the bench on Sunday, not Saturday, on Sunday. Get his fitness up, just come back, build it up. I would definitely put him on the bench this week. Definitely would, without a shadow of a doubt.
Phil just puts a comment in here, which is just like the perfect problem to have, isn't it? So what happens when Bibby and Gildart are fully fit, Hardacre and French rotate, then you've got Hastings put in there, Hankinson's put in there. There's a big, hopefully, and keep everybody fit, there's a massive headache coming sort of start of April for Adrian Lamb, isn't there, which will be fantastic to see. So let's get some score predictions, and if anybody else has got anything that you would like us to talk about in the general world of rugby league. It's been quite a quiet week in rugby league in terms of controversy, so we've not had too much. Stu, your score prediction for this weekend?
Wigan by 22.
Wigan by 22. Do you want to give us a score, or 100 to 78?
22-0 then.
You saved yourself with the maths there, didn't you?
Yeah. Tell you, man.
I'm disappointed that this is the first week in the season where you've not suggested that Wigan are going to kick a drop goal.
Good on purpose, Sean, so you'd say that. That's what I said.
No.
Don't have brackets or so.
That's it, Matt. That's it, Paul. That's it.
I love the fact that Wigan are doing a thing on their website of the loan update. It's like, we still kind of care about Romain Navarrete. He's not doing particularly well at Wakefield, but we're going to write about him anyway, just so that you don't forget about him. And I feel like that is aimed solely at you, Matt, just to keep you interested. Matt, your score prediction for this weekend?
I can't see Hull KR, fingers crossed, being the first team to score more than 2 tries against us this season. So I will go Wigan 36, Hull 10.
Okay, I'll go for Wigan 48, Hull KR 4, and that'll be a late consolation try late on, as everybody's walking off the pitch and they carry on running and score, and we go, well, just let them have it anyway. One thing to sort of note as well, which I think is worth mentioning, is the Golden Gamble this week. Mossy Massoy, the funds are being shared with Mossy Massoy, which again shows what rugby league is about, and the fact that this is a player that played for St Helens, has never played for Wigan, always played against Wigan, but sort of the clubs coming together to support Mossy Massoy in the similar way that the clubs have done for Rob Burrows, and will continue to do no matter what helps. So no matter what happens in the future. So if you get a Golden Gamble this week, part of the money from that my understanding goes towards supporting Mossa Masoi and his family during his recovery. Gents, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It feels nice at the moment, doesn't it? We've not had many problems to discuss apart from Castleford. It feels very much 2010 at this moment in time in terms of problem scale. So let's hope this time next week we'll still be talking more 2010, less 2017. But Stu, Matt, thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back next week as Wigan will still be table. Thank you. See you later.
Yes.